And I can assure you, what is most embarrassing that Muslims today, in various capacities in private and public institutions, are managing billions and billions of shillings in assets in other companies. I will tell you, and I will not mention names here. MultiChoice, headed by Muslims, isn't it? You can mention everywhere. Procurement, go to the PPDA and see how many Muslims are making things happen there. Go to Uganda Revenue Authority and you see that the Muslims are there. But we have a problem. If they are our own, we look at them as what? As useless. It is the same way we have grown up in leadership in our homes. I, Dr. Shafiq, when I go to my home, they say, Ka Shafiq Kako. Isn't it? And we are used to that. And maybe, when I actually have to do any professional work in a Muslim organizations, I will not be compensated because I'm what? I'm a Muslim. I should actually do that what? On a voluntary basis. Whereas when I go elsewhere in a non-Muslim institution, I'm actually what? I'm actually paid. And those are some of the issues why many of our professionals have run away from managing Islamic what? Institutions, because they feel they are not what? Appreciated. So, what is the problem with spiritual leadership? And I will talk about two issues here. Spiritual leadership versus technical what? Technical leadership. This is the time for us to try our level best and bring all professionals together. I appreciate the role that the Uganda Muslim Lawyers Association has done, but we need to understand that if we are going to draft a new constitution for the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, it is not the sheikhs who are going to do that. It is the Muslim lawyers who will do that, because they can consistently put into context what the constitution of this country says. You can look at what we've gone through over the last month. We have a new mufti, and another mufti, another injunction, and another injunction, another, and all that. And who is the best to understand this? The public is not aware and doesn't have the faculties of understanding to understand all these legal jargons, except the what? The lawyers. And I think it is long overdue that the Uganda Muslim Lawyers Association can take up the mantle to redraft another UMSC what? Constitution.
If they allow.
If they allow. So, and what are some of the problems that we've seen? Number one, individualism and personalization. Whether it is private or public or private-public partnerships for Islamic institutions, what are the problems we've seen? Is that because most of these institutions and organizations and companies were started on an individual voluntary basis, they think that they can carry out all the activities up to the modern day using individualism and what? Personalization, which is not the case. We look at many Islamic institutions where you cannot separate the chairman, the founder, and the financial from the company itself. And that violates all principles of what? Corporate governance. Number two, the professionalism. As we've talked about this, we should understand, we should know, and we should enhance and support professionalism at whatever what? At whatever cost. You cannot manage billions of assets in Muslim assets using a sheikh who has just a what? Competence in what? In Sharia. While we actually drop all the professionals that can understand the transparency, the fairness, and all the technical aspects that comes with what? With managing assets. Number three, we have a lot of financial management people. And I will specifically talk about banks here, which are in the aspect of finance. Today, everyone is trying to run away from riba, isn't it? But let me tell you, what options do we have? What options do we have? If we don't have the options for Islamic banking, When the sheikhs talk about Islamic banking, all they can talk about is what? Riba, isn't it? But Islamic finance and Islamic banking goes beyond just what? Riba. And the traditional banks that we knew could save us in this situation are not as Islamic as actually we thought. Tell most Muslims where they bank, and they will be safer to say Tropical Bank and Cairo Bank. And all of us know that these are not as Islamic as we actually what? Hope to. But these banks have not taken up the mantle. It's actually the banks which are new and small saving circles which have taken the mantle, and thanks to Hijaz Finance, thanks to Salam Bank. But let me tell you, we have a number of Muslim professionals who have studied in Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and even IU, and they have not taken up the mantle because they've not been called. We feel the embarrassment every day that the people talking about Islamic banking are even non-Muslims, isn't it? And it is an embarrassment when we have all these professionals around us and we have not used them. Because of, in the interest of time, I'll talk about the way forward. What is the way forward? Number one, research and development. As Muslim professionals, we know that you cannot survive. You cannot survive. Islamic institutions will not survive unless they take a stand in as far as research and development is what? Is concerned. We cannot only do research about Hadith and the Quran, isn't it? We need to look into various aspects of life. We need to talk about domestic violence, but from an Islamic what? Perspective. We need to talk about women emancipation, but from the Islamic what? Perspective. And I thank the ladies who have come out to take a lead in as far as trying to destroy all the myths about feminism and what? And women emancipation. And those are the issues that we need to talk about. We need to talk about trouble. We need to talk about climate change. I can assure you, we cannot, where the world has reached, we cannot pray that the climate doesn't change, isn't it? We cannot pray about it. We cannot just keep our hands and say, we pray that actually we have more rain. The sheikhs have done that, but we need to take a stand in as far as getting the environmental professionals on what? On board. We will have to plant trees than actually putting our hands up, isn't it? We need to do that. So we're not going to talk about the lack of Islamic credit, and all we do is what? To teach about it and not provide what? Solutions. If we fail to provide solutions, even the solutions which will be provided by non-Muslims will not fit into the context of the Islam that we want to have in the next 20 years. Number two, regional and decentralization of leadership. All of us have done the professionalism, the technical issues. We are only centered in Kampala. And you might actually think that the whole of Islamic leadership has to be in Kampala. You can actually think all Muslims live in what? Live in Kampala. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Why? Because let me tell you, there are millions and millions of Muslims across the what? Across, in Masaka, in Kabera Maido, in Gulu, and all these need leadership. So if we don't decentralize leadership, the Corporate Muslim Association should do what? Should decentralize and try to go to Gulu. Are we together? And that is one of those things that, for me, should do a lot in as far as leadership and governance is concerned. Number three, we need field-specific symposiums. Field-specific symposiums. I thank Thurayya. About 2 weeks ago, I was invited to have a talk in a major darus. And I had to tell people that I'm not a sheikh. Because what do they expect? They always expect a what? A sheikh. And all I wanted to talk about is social media addiction. And I'm telling you, not every sheikh can talk about social media what? Addiction. In these major darusus, we cannot go on and all we are talking about are spiritual matters, because remember, we are physical beings, isn't it? We are spiritual beings. We are social beings, and all these aspects of life need to be what? Attacked. In the interest of time, this is my last remark. If we don't try our level best to see that there is transparency, fairness, legislation, processes within which Islamic institutions and organizations work, the future of our children in as far as Islamic spiritual and developmental issues is concerned will go down the drain. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, thank you very much. Kindly, your phones are here. So we are standing between Juma and the next session. So trust me, I'll try to really moderate this session in 40 minutes. Then I'll have my other guests also react. But two things that I want to re-echo before we transition to a panel discussion. Thank you very much, Doctor, for that very insightful wake-up call or reawakening, for lack of a better terminology, but it was reawakening indeed. And I want to just mention this reflection. Accountants, financial analysts, doctors, lawyers, architects, scientists, dentists, engineers, construction workers, nurses, authors, journalists, labor export directors who are running companies, academicians, gynecologists, school directors, restaurants and cafes, human resource specialists, counseling professionals. Where are these associations? ICT professionals, fintech professionals, bankers. Where are these Muslim field professional specific associations? Do we even have a database? Where are they? I'm in academics, partially academics. I'm into managed consulting. You'll find me doing so many things. I'm in the community. And I want to state that last week, me and my colleague, Sheikh Mohammed Abdueli, we realized one of our friends came to us and said that Muslims are starting up schools. Literally every Muslim name is becoming a school. Sumaya, Shamila, Nabil. But everyone is starting a dual curriculum school. And most of these schools are in silos. And many of us are pulling our kids from other schools. And these are directors. They have loans. And many of them are looking at these clients, but because we are now inspired by the path to look out for the dunya and the akhir, we are pulling their kids. And most of these schools do not actually meet the basic minimum standards in as far as the Ministry of Education, specifically the Education Standards Agency, are concerned. And many actually are querying the sources of our income, because they were saying that we're looking at your banks accounts. Your bank accounts have 1 billion shillings, and yet these are the traditional schools that have been there for years. The quality of your teaching, the quality of your facilities are wanting, the qualities, you're not even following our curriculum to the dot. Your values, your standards, the hygiene, let's not talk about the hygiene. And they're saying that if you do not organize yourself, we don't even know, first of all, we don't even understand the Islamic theology curriculum. Who are you teaching and what are you teaching? Sheikh Mohammed Abdueli responded, and for me that was leadership. And last week we gathered 20 directors of Muslim dual curriculum private schools, and we now have an association, and I'm happy to say that I'm the general secretary of the association. So, and he is the chairman. So, and one of the things that we're looking at is it's one thing to start things, but how do you secure and maintain them, then grow them to the other level? So where are these associations? Education and Media is a transformative agency. Where are the Muslim media agencies? Where are the engineers, Muslim Engineers Association? I don't want to say much and open up a discussion, but I have a very interesting panel. Allow me invite the following to join me on the high end with no order of announcement. I just want to highlight. So Hajat Shamira, she's the managing director and founder of Pivot Pay. So Hajat Shamila, wherever you are, please join us. A big round of applause to Hajat. The little I know about Pivot Pay is, as you know, it's a digital payment platform. That's what I guess. And it has been very instrumental in helping young Ugandan professionals to save, more especially those who are working in the diaspora. That's the little I dug about. Sister Hajat, you're welcome. So I have Engineer Shaban Sengendo. Engineer Shaban Sengendo, he works with peer systems, and he also works with Kisasi College. We all know Kisasi College. For some of us who know Haj Seragala, Honorable. So Engineer, you're welcome. Then we have Council Siraj Katantazi. Council, many of us knew Council initially in his teaching role, very active. He has so many students in the room, I guess. But he's the head of commercial department at Senkumba and Company Advocates. A big round of applause to Council Senkumba. Then my last panelist is Dr. Ashraf Mutaguya. He's a lecturer at IUIU. He teaches Islamic law, and he's one of our sheikhs on a regular basis who is very instrumental on issues of Islamic, general Islamic jurisprudence, but he was initially part of Hijaz, and he was doing a lot of work in that particular area. So if you don't mind, please kindly join us. I'm going to request that Dr. Mujabi come back again on the floor. You can join us, and we can use that as an opportunity to interact and take a few notes as well. So it's 11, so I promise, inshallah, to keep this panel in 40 minutes. And then we will also have an interaction in 20 minutes, because we are standing between Jum'ah and other commitments. And like I said, I want to thank everyone who has been part of the thinking and the convening process of this meeting. May Allah reward you. We can't reward you. For us, we are weak human beings. May Allah reward you abundantly, and whoever has invested in this process, and for those who have really come to share their insights. I just want to, you could pick a mic, so kindly pick one mic, Hajat, so the other mic will be roving from the other side. Yeah, you'll remain with a mic. So 2 mics will be used. Okay, you already have a mic? So Hajat, I want to invite you to share your insights, basically the general understanding we had from the contextual presentation. I mean, let's begin from the point of what do you make of Dr. Shafiqi's presentation in 1 minute? I guess. Take, are the mics on? Mic? Okay.
It's finally on. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Am I audible? Everyone who knows me a little about me knows.
Can we hear Hajat at the back?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear Hajat at the back?
Up to the way up to the back.
Yeah, they can hear you.
Right. Thumma salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. I pray that Allah guides us and gives us the wisdom to discuss openly, honestly, and with the best of intentions, inshallah. What I think about, it's thought-provoking. I think for me that's bottom line. It's thought-provoking. There was a lot of questions, a lot of nuances that I think if we took the time would literally keep us here for an entire week discussing so many of the questions that he was putting across in his speech. I don't know if I should say this now, Sheikh. Am I allowed to?
What is one thing that stood out for you in his keynote?
I think it's basically that we're stuck between the historical and the spiritual, vis-a-vis the future, and the need for technological leadership and governance.
Okay.
And so maybe before I proceed, I had been asked to prepare something small, so probably it would give more context
maybe
after, so then we can.
No, I'll come back to you. So just pass the mic to Dr. Ashraf. Yeah. So Dr. Ashraf, what do you make of Dr. Mujabi's keynote? In a minute.
Alhamdulillah, thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Dr. Mujabi, from the position where I'm as a sheikh, has challenged sheikhs, and he is not convinced. We are suited to guide, given where we are right now, and I think that's a very good challenge. I hope to navigate more of what he actually meant. Personally, I believe it is the society that makes its scholars. If you don't challenge the sheikhs, they cannot stand up the occasion.
Thank you. Good insight. So pass the mic to Engineer Shaban. What do you make of Dr. Mujabi's keynote?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Now, first allow me to thank Doctor for his very insightful and quite passionate deliverance. What I picked is he is imagining, in his submission, he was trying to imagining the power that lies in the untapped potential of the Muslim Ummah, or of the Ummah, that is only being, it's not being exploited fully due to the differences in maybe leadership, or due to the differences in people not believing in the partnerships and getting together. So he was trying to open our minds to the fact that there is so much we can do as an ummah, because first of all, in this Uganda alone, we might be the biggest spenders of money, we might be the biggest businessmen, but our presence is not being felt because we do not have something that brings us together. In your opening remarks, you talked of where are the institutions, where are the collaborations, where are the associations, and that is the same feel that I have, because if we did indeed have these things that bring us together, I think would be a powerhouse. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. You can just pass the mic to the council, then I'll come back to Hajjat as well. So in a minute, what do you make of the keynote of Dr. Shafiq?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allow me use part of my minute to welcome Amir Ummah, Sheikh Yunus Kamuga. He has joined us. You are most welcome, Sheikh. That said, I listened with a heightened sense of interest. And I think Dr. Mujabi is coming from where we all come from, where we think that there should be a particular person who does this. You question without offering alternatives. So when I looked at today's topic, I asked myself the following questions. How can we seek to sustain real Islamic values in a world of rapid and dramatic changes without holding the modernization and development of contemporary Muslim-managed organizations? That is one. Two, why do we think that we can divorce Islamic principles of leadership and governance from what is referred to as modernity? Three, have we considered the Islamic leadership model? Have we tried to apply it? Is it possible to apply it? Four, have we tried to understand and study alternative Muslim contemporary settings and how they've tried to implement these in their cultures and daily lives? Because we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We know that Islam has gone through a process of transformation from when the Rasul was the leader of the Ummah to the Rashidun Caliphates, to the Umayyads, to the Abbasids, to the golden days when Islam spanned half of the world. When did we lose it? Can we go back and interrogate those aspects and try to integrate them into the contemporary world? And lastly, in this Uganda, at what point do we think that we should take the